Hello, hello, hello. So happy to have you with us. So I'm just coming on really quickly to recap and talk a little bit about what we saw last week. Well, actually, 2 weeks ago, when just things just hit the fan. All different types of things hit the fan. So we're going to be doing a little bit of, per my regular style, a podcast type of a live stream. But yeah, let's just get right into what happened in this latest episode. And then we're going to go into what we can expect to see and a little bit more about what's going on now. I mean, we've never seen this before in this sort of history. So let's talk about the whole Yosef and I mean Claire just kerfuffle that happened. I mean, I don't even know what to say. Yosef apparently is a single dad or a father. I don't know. I shouldn't say single dad because I'm not sure of his situation. But he kept bringing it up, obviously, that he was a dad. And so it kind of started with Yosef just speaking to Bennett and Riley about how he was feeling and how he doesn't bite his tongue for anyone, even the Bachelorette, and how he, didn't like a lot of things that were kind of building up within him about how things were going. Riley did a really nice job. He really tried to kind of get Yosef to think about what he was about to do. He, calmly tiptoed around. He was like, "Well, is this something you would share with Claire?" And he's like, "Yeah, I don't bite my tongue for anything, blah blah blah." And so he's like, "Well, it's just a matter of respect and that sort of thing." Um, you can see Bennett just, knocking back the whiskey. He's like, "I'm staying out of this." But, Riley seemed to try to kind of warn him. But it was crazy because Yosef decided to go ahead and confront Claire anyway. So I've watched this scene like maybe two or three times just to try to understand, how it went left so quickly. But then Yosef decides to interrupt Claire and her mini date, and she, obliged, and they started talking. And next thing you know, he's like telling her how he has a child. And first before we even get into that, he shared his first complaint, which was the fact that she shared with the men her feelings. Now, and that happened, I believe, the week prior. Now, I understand kind of what he's saying, but again, he didn't have to go straight to the crazy word or whatever word he used. I think that she has a different sort of personality. She does. You can tell she can go. She knows how she feels really quickly and just go straight with it, um, really quickly. Maybe without reflection or biting her tongue. So they're kind of similar to me in that regard because she did tell them how exactly she felt, and maybe the delivery wasn't specifically how the guys wanted to receive it. So I can understand if that's where he was coming from, even though he didn't really say that. But it was the way, uh, I guess, what she said that made him feel, a certain way about it. Oh, I'm actually cooking while I'm doing this. I'm like multitasking, so I have to check on something. I'm like doing this new dish with tofu, and I'm putting kale with it. So I'm like doing that right now. So anyway, so then she, listens to him. He's listening. She's listening to him. She's trying to kind of make sense, give him opportunity to say what he had to say. She tried to empathize with where he was coming from when he started talking about the naked football, because and also I didn't really think they were naked. I mean, if you saw in one of the if you saw in one of the clips, it looked like some of them actually had like speedos on. The little boxes kind of moved and you could still see some of them wearing the speedos. So I'm not really sure how accurate it is. I mean, they were practically naked, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But anywho, he had a problem with that. Then he started talking about he had a daughter at home and all this other stuff. But let me just backtrack, because the reason why he did bring in the daughter with the first complaint was because he was saying, we sacrificed a lot to be here. And I totally agree with him. And that is something I did mention in my last broadcast, in that basically he definitely is right about that. They all are leaving their own lives behind to make time to pursue love, to pursue her, and that sort of thing. And look, they have lives, and this is a totally different time than it was maybe, say, 5 years ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when they were filming a Bachelorette. We're in the middle of an international pandemic, and it's even more stress. It's more stress for everyone involved. So I understand what he was saying in that regard. But then again, his delivery started becoming very, like, I mean, it was just I don't even know how to describe it. It was just very harsh, actually. He just started, speaking in a very harsh tone toward her regarding how he was feeling. And I think, when I say, maybe it wasn't even the tone, it was the words he was using. I'm appalled. This is, he might even use disgraceful. Whatever the words he was using was just very, it was a little, I think, a little harsher for what it was. I mean, he knew what show he was coming on. He knew they have sometimes some, sort of wacky, you know, competitions and games and things like that. So if if it's so important for you to stay home and be with your family and that sort of thing, then maybe he should have checked out some clips of previous shows to know what he's getting into. So he's just not going in blindly. Um, and to that point, maybe that's why she was a little perturbed about the other guy who didn't really know anything about her, and I was just going, oh, we'll see, because now it's like it's so much more important to know, I guess. But anyway, so or I should say, it's heavier. The weight of knowing is it's much heavier. So I just thought that his delivery was just a little off, and she definitely could catch on to that. But then it just went really left really quick, because apparently he'd been speaking for about 20 minutes or so. So he's just talking for like 20 minutes. And then she tries to interrupt him, and he's like, no, you're going to listen to what I have to say. And then the finger came out. That's when I was like, okay, I think it had already been going downhill. But then when Claire put her index finger, started pointing in his face, and then she stood up, I just thought that just kind of it was just like another, like a low, it kind of like lower. I think she kind of stooped down to his level a little bit, because she wanted to try to get in control of the situation, which I mean, I don't know. It was just sad all around, because he didn't have to talk to her that way. But then when she put out the index finger, started pointing in his face, and stood up and looking down at him, telling him, no, you, it just took it to another level. And then he could have, obviously been the man of that sort of situation, and, apologized, maybe thought about the way he said things were just not okay, and excused himself from this situation. But he kept going in on her and saying some really, while truthful things. The way he tried to deliver them was as if to shame her for being the oldest bachelorette, and saying things like, you're near 40. Like, what happens when you turn 40? Does something crazy happen that, makes him feel that he needs to wield that like a weapon toward her? Like, do you know what I mean? So certain things he was saying just didn't make sense. And he was saying it in a way to kind of insult her. And I'm thinking to myself, you're saying these things in a way to almost insult her, but you're then in the same breath saying you have a daughter. So would you want a man to talk to your daughter the way you're talking to her, whether she's in the wrong or not? Would you want a man telling your daughter, if she was single and however old Claire is, to say, oh, you're almost 40. Like, what is that supposed to mean? Is that supposed to be some insult? She should be, thinking, that she's still around, and she's almost, some people don't even get a chance to be that age. So I didn't understand what he was getting at. And it was just a very odd display of adultism. I just thought, like, at this point, we could kind of have conversations. I mean, we're all guilty of kind of going down the tubes with discussions, but whatever. I mean, I think she handled herself as best she could in that situation after having listened to him rant and rave for 20 minutes in a very accusatory tone. Do I agree with the finger pointing? No, but you could tell she was heated at that point. And sometimes when you're upset, you don't necessarily have the best delivery. And then it seemed like she made that whole TV moment with telling him, hey, I would never want you to be the father of my child, like she did, like she did, Mr. It's okay, it's okay. So I just, I thought it was a little out there, not one of the more crazier scenes that we've seen in the history of The Bachelorette, but definitely one of those things that will sticks out in our minds. So how do we recover from that? You can't. So he clearly had to go. It was no way he could recover from that after pretty much insulting her. Oh, I think my battery's running low, guys, so I'm gonna have to hurry this up. I want to also just talk really quickly about this whole situation with Dale and Clare. So, that whole situation was a little interesting, because Clare was seeming to be like running off and getting time with Dale. Dale seemed to try to cover it up when he talked to the guys about it. Oh, I went to the bathroom and there she was. I mean, like, come on, just be real. You saw her out. You had that extra time with her. Just be honest with the guys. I think that's why they kind of didn't like him. And they really got him in that comedy sketch. And so let's talk about that. When they did finally do that whole comedy scene, all of the guys were getting on him, talking about him and everything. And this is what guys do. Okay. They like just kind of get on each other. That's the nature of the man. And then they get over it and they're happy and they're fun and they go off, they don't hold these grudges. So I didn't understand why she kind of inserted herself in that whole man bonding experience and decided to almost kind of mother Dale from afar, mother him, and how she felt they were like talking about him. And I just thought, Dale's a man. He can handle himself. And actually, Dale was being a good sport about it. He was laughing. He found it to be quite funny. The jokes were actually very well thought out and good. And usually a lot of comedians are very smart. So this is a group of smart men. They're making these really funny jokes. And she should have just like enjoyed the experience. Like, they laughed it off. Dale didn't have any hard feelings. He didn't come crying to mama. He didn't come to Clare and say, hey, they hurt my feelings. So I just felt, it's okay. She could have let it go, but she didn't. She seemed to really take offense to the jokes that they were doing toward Dale. And she proceeded on every little mini date and time that she had with each man, bring it up almost to ad nauseum. And I just was thinking to myself, Clare, come on, please, like, don't go down this road. These guys are already kind of giving you a little bit of the side eye with your outburst about spend time with me, which was totally valid, by the way. And then with the whole, sneaking off with Dale anyway. And then with this whole other situation, popping off with Yosef. And then there's always just like this feeling, this shadow like coming down over the Bachelorette mansion and or villas or wherever they are. And it's almost like they know they're like their time is being wasted. This girl's really just not that into them. And I feel like they feel that, and it's infuriating for some of them. But obviously, they can't really show their true emotions. It's national TV. But just think about it. You like leave your livelihood, if you still have one with this whole pandemic. You leave your family, if you have children, whatever. You go through this uncomfortable testing procedure. You get holed up alone for a while just to come on a show to meet a woman who you hope to have a connection with, but she's just already, kind of made up her mind and cut off the rest of her options. I mean, they kind of at least want to feel that they have a chance. But it's almost like she's making it seem like they have no chance, and they can feel it, they can sense it. These men are very intuitive. They just feel it, and it's just not a fun thing for them. So I mean, I totally can understand how it can be frustrating for them. And I forgot who brought it up, but he was really talking about it a lot. And he was just like, come on, guys, but do you really feel, and God bless their hearts. Like they really were trying to think about it in a good way. They're like, oh no, I know, I think she's here for us. But it's like the writing's in the pudding. Like we all know what's going on. And so I don't know. It's just one of those things. And now let's talk about that. I'm happy for Clare. I'm happy for Clare if Dale and her are still together. I mean, she was just most recently spotted out with like an engagement. It looked like a whole bridal set, if you ask me. I saw the lower piece, the middle engagement piece, and the upper piece. There was a whole bridal set going on. So maybe they're engaged, maybe they're married. We don't know. I'm happy for them. They brought on Deanna, and she had a similar experience where she just knew, and she knew that she knew, and she went off with her, and was able to just have that love unfold really quickly for her, and she's been married. So, and she didn't even need to come on The Bachelorette. She was supposed to be the first Bachelorette. So, love is great. It sneaks up on you sometimes, and it can unfold really quickly, which is fabulous. But it's just like, I thought, since she wants to say, particularly in that scene with Yosef, that she's standing there in all her glory at this age because she didn't, whatever she said, I'm standing here in all my glory, whatever, that speech, because she didn't settle. So I'm thinking to myself, well, that's great that you feel that but why not let this thing play out and keep your heart open to these other men? Because maybe there is someone who's even better suited for you, and you don't get that immediate rush of whatever she got, and something else can work out even better for her. But she'll never know because she kind of just closed off her heart. And so many women do that, unfortunately. But I'm saying she has 31 men here for her. Why not just let it play out and just keep your heart open? I really feel like sometimes the people who go on The Bachelor like really need like a personal coach or someone they've been working with already to kind of like get their have them have an open mind about this sort of thing. Anywho, so that's that. I do kind of want to talk about this other situation. Poor guy, because this was another thing that kind of popped off with the pool guy. And again, she couldn't even really keep an open heart with this one-on-one date with this poor guy at the pool, because they had like that weird moment with the kiss, and I looked at that moment over a couple of times, and he didn't move into her, but that was because she was moving into him. That's just my assessment of it. She was moving in for the kiss. She was actually moving forward to kiss him, and he didn't move back. He stayed exactly where he was. It might have caught him off guard. Maybe he thought she was going to complete the pass. And, she just never did. And so she didn't feel him coming toward her. She went mostly in for it to him. And it just created this miscommunication of body language and kissology. And it didn't work out. It didn't work out. She got mad at that situation, stormed off, and then she got triggered because of her past. And she said she's been doing a lot of work with her past, but this, you never know what might trigger you when you go through something. So I totally, I feel for her. I'm not going to say what she should feel or not, but, she got triggered some kind of way, and he was actually going to try to make it right and go in for a kiss, but she didn't want him to. Anyway, I don't think I have enough time to really go over that because my battery on this is going extremely low. But look, it's all in how she felt in that moment. And she felt, that he kind of overstepped the boundaries. It's also really such a delicate situation. I almost don't really want to really talk about it too much, because that's just her perception, how she feels. And I'm sure he didn't mean to offend her in any sort of way. But I did see that he did go in and he kind of used his hand and he kind of grabbed, and that will make any woman feel uncomfortable, especially if they're pulling away and the guy is like, no, no, let me kiss you, let me kiss you. So sorry if I'm dramatic, making it a little bit more dramatic than it was, but obviously he's not there anymore. He is not a part of the pick of men that she has. So, it didn't work out well for him. So that's a whole nother situation. We'll just leave it there. But there was just a lot of interesting little nuggets that happened here. I'll just wrap this up to say that, what she did and how she said things may not have been well taken by many of the men in the house. However, it's totally valid. That's how she feels. And everyone is entitled to their own opinion and entitled to express themselves. The delivery may not always be right, but that's how they feel. So for the person receiving that, communication, they have to have an open mind and know that we're all human. It may not be exactly the way we want it to be, but we all try our best. So that's basically all I have to say with this review. Is a little longer than I expected it, 22 minutes. But it is what I wanted to say for the most part. I am running low on batteries and I don't want to burn anything. So maybe I'll get back to my recorded videos for an upcoming one, but I like the live because I can just talk like I normally do anything anyway, and I don't have to like do all this editing. I wasn't able to use the software I used last time because something's going on with that, but that's fine. We'll just, you can just listen to me talk and on about this. So, if you have any comments, or if you want me to, if I missed something, or if you have a different opinion, or if you want to share something, then please do share it in the comments. And I'll definitely get to your comments. If you have any other video requests, let me know. And if you want any other sort of update videos about some of the other relationships that we've seen in the past, let me know. But that's all I have for you right now. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, and I hope that we have a lot more to talk about when the newest episode comes on. All right, bye.